Welcome. You are about to take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition show. For the next hour, allow her to prepare you in becoming a magnet for a profound love-infused relationship by identifying and focusing on solutions through love. Awaken the light within and let your essence shine. And now, here's Deborah Beauvais on Love by Intuition, all part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Welcome, everyone. Bonjour, mes amis. And yes, here I am, Deborah Beauvais, founder and owner of the Dream Vision 7 radio network, the Kids for Love project. I'm an author now and all kinds of good things. And if you are tuning in for the first time, we are Boston-based syndicated internet radio station with all the bells and whistles. You can listen to us wherever you are, whatever country, whether you're at home, whether you're at work, in the car, and you can even ask Alexa. And we are proud to be the media partner for the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York. Well, we have a great show for you today, and today is actually voting day, and I hope everyone has voted or will go and vote after you hear the show. One of my daughters has said, and it's true, it's a privilege to vote, and there are people that have died for the privilege of voting. And so we, in honor of them, regardless of how you vote, I hope you all do. So there's what I have done is invited Jerri Sher back. She is an amazing individual. There's so much to learn from Jerri, and you can listen to the first show that we did with Dr. Emmett Miller who had joined us. All you have to do is go on the Dream Vision site. It's Dream Visions, all one word with an S on the end, the number 7radio.com, and then just click on Love by Intuition Archives, and you can listen there on demand at your leisure. But I wanted to have her back because she is exceptional, and she has done such work in movies that are making a difference and really making movies differently. I think when I think about it, I think of Steven Spielberg. His kind of movies are a message to make life different, to have people think differently, to question what their belief systems are. And so that's Jerri Sher as well. So without further ado, let me say Emmy-winning director Jerri Sher is here to talk about her documentary, which is called Quiet Explosions, Healing the Brain. So without further ado, Jerri, come on into the show.
Thank you so much, Deborah. It's a real honor to be here again on your wonderful show, promoting intuition. And it's so exciting.
You're fading out.
We were invited to the Directors Guild to see The Fabelmans, his new movie, and he did the Q&A afterward, which was very interesting and exciting. And for you to mention him and me in the same sentence is very inspiring. Thank you.
All well deserved, and I mention him because he, the people that are changing the kinds of movies that people go, especially even the teenagers, they need to be quality. They need to be making a difference. It can't be all about killing people. And I think that's a piece of what happens in the world of young minds between everything they see on TV, and it can be, the way they've been brought up. There's all kinds of pieces that go together that can be improved to eliminate the kinds of things that go on with guns and all of that, which is another whole show, but my point taken, hopefully.
Well, I certainly understand, and I only make movies that are going to positively influence society in some way. I want to give people something to think about, to educate them, but entertain them at the same time so they're learning new information that can improve their lives, either physically, emotionally, spiritually, somehow. And that's what Quiet Explosions Healing the Brain is all about.
Yeah, so tell us about, how did you start with that? You have Joe Rogan, you have Super Bowl MVP Mark Rypien, some of the winners from Survival. Did they reach out to you? Did Joe reach out to you, or how did that all come to be?
No, it's very difficult to get the right people in a project, and it's a lot of wear and tear on the producer-director, which is myself. I'm the writer, producer, director. But when I realized I was making a movie about traumatic brain injury and PTSD and how people can heal, and there is hope, and I was interviewing the doctors that have come up with the new protocols, I realized that Dr. Mark Gordon had been on Joe Rogan's show. So I watched every episode of his podcast that he had been on, and when I saw the wonderful material in those podcasts, I asked Joe Rogan if I could use some of that for the movie, and that became the beginning and the end and the thread that pulled the whole movie together. And then I had to go after some NFL players. That was very difficult because people who are in the NFL get very skittish and worried that they're going to come after them. So it was very difficult to get someone to speak out, and I finally did find two wonderful people, Mark and Anthony Davis. And Survivor, well, that was pretty amazing. I got the Ben from my granddaughter being so smart. She watched the show, and she said she knew that he had been in the Marines, and he had definitely a trauma, and that he would be great in my movie. And she reached out to a friend of hers whose father was in the same episode as Ben, and he got me in touch with him. So luckily for me, I was able to, yeah. Of course, the problem was once I did reach him, and he wanted to help out, he said he was owned by CBS for 2 years, so I had to go through CBS. But they really loved the project, and they gave me full access to him, which was really amazing.
And I have to say, as I probably said in the first show, there's an energy when you're putting out, and I can feel it just talking with you, there's an energy that you have and that you're actually expanding with doing this kind of work. And when you're in that energy, the universe answers all the different pieces that are needed and presents them, and then it's a matter of you noticing and then putting it together. It's work, as we know, but it helps, it assists, because it knows that you're doing work to, elevate the human race and just make everything a better world. So do you feel that energy, Jerri, on a daily basis? And do you really work with that energy? And are you aware? Are you awakened to the point where you know the energy's there and you're looking for it to help you along?
Deborah, I am so aware of this. I can't believe you put your finger on it exactly, but I am so aware, and the universe actually brings me everything I need. I mean, yes, I have to take the initiative, but I watch for the signs, I listen to the world around me, and the right things happen, and the right things come to me, the right people come to me. I wanted George Lucas's company, Industrial Light Magic, to do my animation and my film. And of course, I'm not Star Wars. I can't afford them. But I called them, and I knew that's who I needed and who I wanted, and I went about it, and sure enough, they loved the project, believed in the project, and they just gave me 2 artists for 2 weeks to do our animation. And when I, asked what they needed, they said, "Only credits, Jerri. We just want to help."
Wow. So that proves my point. And yes, you're awakened, and and no, and you don't shy away from it either, in the sense of talking yourself out of it because maybe you're not enough, because many of us women and men, feel that way, and may take their whole lives working towards being enough. So I thank you for that, because you stepped forward and opened up, and there it is, all set for you. and
well, I
everyone that sees it.
I reach for the stars. That's it. I reach for the top layer, the top crust. I wanted the most famous and wonderful sound mixer, Michael Minkler, who has 3 Oscars and 18 nominations, and he did my mix. I mean, I reach for the stars, and I feel I do deserve it.
Yes, you do, and everyone that listens deserves it as well. So tell us about, you knew enough about, the PTSD and traumatic brain issues, and there's a whole gamut of that. So, what were you focused on at the beginning, or you already knew that you needed to, present this, and this?
Well, I was approached by the book. Andrew Marr wrote a book. He's a Green Beret, Tales from the Blast Factory, and someone who knew me from where I grew up in Fall River, Mass. I had babysat for her when I was 16. She followed my career my whole life, and she was editing this book. And when it was in the galley stage, she sent it to me and said, "You need to make the movie of this because this guy is amazing." And I couldn't believe it when I read the story. First of all, I was taken by this Green Beret Andrew, but I was more taken by the doctor who was in my backyard in Encino, California. He's a neuroendocrinologist who figured out a way to cure these people and help them and make them have a good life. So I immediately was on board. I just had to figure out the whole story and who else I needed in the story. And to me, I said to Andrew, I'll only do it under one condition. It has to be 1/3 military, 1/3 athletes, and 1/3 civilians, because I knew that this affects millions and millions of people around the world, from just even falling off a ladder or being in a car accident. So, traumatic brain injury can happen to anyone.
Yes, that's a good point, and I'm so glad that you included civilians, because normally we would be thinking of the NFL and would be thinking of the military and all that goes on there, and the help that these kinds of modalities or work that these people do, and there's a number of them out there. Is, you can't put a price on that when someone gets their life back. Tell us a little bit about what is it, Mark, that the work that he does. Can you share a little bit without giving away the whole documentary?
Of course. So basically, your brain has many, many hormones in it in order for you to be balanced. And what happens when you have a brain injury or your head gets knocked around is sometimes the pituitary gland doesn't produce the hormones anymore, and they're missing, and you can't live without them. That's what causes all the severe symptoms. So Mark Gordon does the blood work, and it's read on a huge laboratory in Jupiter, Florida, and they figure out what's missing. Are you missing pregnenolone or cortisol or testosterone or DHEA? And those hormones are replaced in your body. They are not pharmaceuticals. And when they are replaced in the right amounts, you all of a sudden become more balanced and don't have those horrible symptoms of insomnia or fits of crying or anger and so on. So that's basically the crux of it. There's many other modalities like the hyperbaric oxygen therapy, TMS, which is transcranial magnetic, and so on.
Right. Do you think that the hyperbaric, chambers and that are complementary to the hormone therapy? Because, and the reason I'm asking that is some of the other modalities would be amazing. However, if the hormones are still unbalanced, you're not going to have a complete healing or a complete health. Would you agree with that?
Yes, exactly. And the thing is, it's different for everybody. Every person is different. And many of the people in the film explain that they needed everything. Sean, our surfer, he did everything. He went to Dr. Amen, he went to Dr. Gordon, Dr. Sher up in San Francisco, and he did all the therapies. And it took all the therapies to get him better. So it isn't necessarily that one will work and one won't, or you might need a combination of 2 or 3.
Right. And I think that is where healthcare is going. We're still, allopathic is still needed for many things. But when you look at the whole person, the whole body, and understand that it's like a machine and it's magnificent and it can do all these things, it's like finding the different modalities or the different services that are out there that can work for you. It seems like it's almost like maybe puzzle, or maybe it's like an octopus, I'm thinking, with all these tendrils, and each one has to be addressed. And if you're tuned into your body, you can help it work to heal. But you need this help. You need to get to the root of it. And that's why I'm so grateful that you have this documentary out. And then I'm thinking, since it's been out, has there been interest in other areas or places that you wouldn't normally hear about, but now someone's picked it up and now they've shared it here and now they're doing this kind of work, in Nebraska?
Right. Well, of course, that's exactly what's happening. I was contacted last year by someone in Wyoming. I've never been to Wyoming before, but he was like, we have 49,000 veterans here, and you have to come here, and you have to present this film. And I spent a week last January in Wyoming, and they were all so grateful. And then just last week, I was in Atlanta, Georgia, with the Commissioner of Veterans Affairs, Patricia Ross, and, it's amazing. There are 700,000 veterans in Georgia. So
wow.
We had a fabulous screening at Kennesaw State University with the psychology department, and there were doctors there and psychologists and government people and veterans and families, and I have never been in a screening where the Q&A was so compassionate and empathetic and full of love, and people who were thanking me up and down saying, this information is so valuable, and we are going to get the word out to everyone. It was really remarkable.
Excellent. So, when you think of that many in Georgia, imagine all the others across the country and even beyond this country, and surely a need for places like the Ukraine and people that are going through such trauma on a daily basis. So that, it's so exciting. I'm excited, and I'm not even involved with the documentary, but I know that with watching it, that work can change someone's life from being immobile and not having a quality life to being involved and healthy and energetic and all of that. And again, you can't put a price on that. And that's why it's so important to elevate these types of, services and modalities that help. So I just thank you. And we're going for a break in another minute or so. So let's give out the information. To get in touch with Jerri, it's jerrisher.com. Sher is S-H-E-R. Jerri is J-E-R-R-I. So it's jerrisher.com. And you can go on Prime Video, and it's a small purchase of Quiet Explosions Healing the Brain. And once you have it, please share it with other people, as well as doing a review, because on Amazon, if you have the more reviews, the more action it will get, the more it will spread faster beyond, wide and beyond. So do that, please. And so we are going for a break. We'll be back in a moment. We have a toll-free number. This is a call-in show. Feel free to call in with a comment for Jerri or a question for her. It's 833-220-1200, 833-220-1200. Bob's in the house, and he'll put you through.
Experience a different yet profound healing with Reconnective Healing. Includes yet expands beyond any and all known forms of energy healing. The Reconnective Healing spectrum is comprised of the full healing and evolutionary continuum of energy, light, and information. It allows for healings that are not just physical, not just mental, not just emotional, yet go beyond that to bring healing that includes the evolution of your very being and essence. Deborah Beauvais, trained and certified by world-renowned Dr. Eric Pearl, offers appointment hours at Seekonk Family Chiropractic in Seekonk, Massachusetts. For questions or to set up both distance or local sessions, call Deborah at 508-431-1959. Again, 508-431-1959. Or go to lovebyintuition.com. That's lovebyintuition.com.
Calling all authors. Have you been considering an audiobook? Well, look no further. Come take advantage of Dream Vision 7 Radio Network's unique in-house audiobook production, which includes benefits and bonuses from our radio station. Let our knowledgeable staff guide you to create the audiobook you've always dreamed of without breaking the bank. Check out our full one-stop service from A to Z, including the ACX process. Schedule a free consultation by calling 508-226-1723. That's 508-226-1723. Or go to dreamvision7radio.com.
After narrowly surviving the attack on Sandy Hook Elementary, first grade teacher Caitlin Roy DeBellis was left searching for answers that would never come. Eventually, she chose to focus on questions that could be answered. How do I make sure this tragedy doesn't define us? How do we get our control back? Those two questions led her to found the 501c3 nonprofit organization Classes for Classes. When gifts poured into their classroom, she decided they would help someone else by paying it forward and being kind. This developed into a social network which allows K-8 classrooms to connect so that every student in the United States can learn these crucial lessons. Classes for Classes' mission is to build students' social-emotional intelligence by connecting them to care. All C4C projects are crowdfunded. Any teacher in the U.S. can visit classesforclasses.org. That's classes, the number 4, classes.org. Sign up today.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids children's book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love Song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And we are back. Again, the number is 833-220-1200. Bob is in the house, as mentioned, and he will put you through. And don't be shy. Don't wait until the last 10 minutes. Jerri, I wanted to have you, if you may, tell us a couple of, or at least one of the stories that may have affected you the most that is in the Quiet Explosions, because there's so many different people in there. Was there someone that was a surprise to you or just really fascinating?
Well, they were all fascinating and they were surprises, but the most poignant one was my husband, because when I first started the project, it was completely professional, had nothing to do with my personal life, but halfway through, Dr. Gordon and I were down in San Diego at a conference, a medical conference, and I was absorbing as much as I could about his work. And late that night, we were sitting around a fireplace and chatting, and he heard a little bit about my personal life, and my husband had had brain impairment for 25 years from open heart surgery. And he said, I think we could help him. And I told him that wouldn't be possible because it had been more than 2 decades, and Alan had absolutely no short-term memory whatsoever. And he said, bring him in. So I told my cinematographer, let's follow this story. I really had no idea that anything good would come of it. But believe it or not, we followed the story with the camera, and it turned out that everything was missing from his brain, every hormone, and they replaced everything, and he got better and better and better. And it was really a miracle. So the story that started out completely professional ended up being quite personal for me. And Alan is our main civilian, and I told my editor at the end, if there are too many characters, just take my husband out. And she looked at all the footage, and she said we would never take Alan out because he is the guy next door. He's a regular guy. He's not a famous NFL player or a famous surfer, but he's a regular man, a tax accountant. So Alan is in the movie, and he has quite a great story. So for anyone who sees it, you'll get a big surprise with how Alan's giving back at the end of the movie.
Well, when I have goosebumps, number one, and two, when I think about the whole picture, this was meant to be so that Alan could be healed and be in a better situation. I mean, who would know? When you started this idea, who would know that it would be your husband would get help as well? Wow.
Right.
That
it was completely just unfounded.
Yes. As they say, you can't make these things up. So what else why don't you share some of the awards that you've received, and what else would you like to share about Quiet Explosions?
Well, I think it's interesting. We have 13 different awards, and we were in the qualification for the Oscar this year for Best Documentary Feature and Best Music Score. We have an amazing score by a famous composer in Israel, Omri Lahav, and he did 98 different cues. And I'm not a musician by any means, so I would just say to him, I want each character to be a different instrument. Maybe I could see Juliana, our gymnast, to be the harp, and Anthony Davis, the NFL running back, could be the trumpet. And that's how we came up with the ideas for the score. And then, of course, I wanted the fight song by Rachel Platten for the end, and that was a big coup to get that from Sony. Very difficult. But again, I wanted that, and we did get it. So, the awards are wonderful, but more importantly is that we're saving lives. 22 veterans commit suicide every day, and if we can bring that number way down by people all over the world seeing this, and people are watching it in Taipei and Paris and Canada, it's all over. It's on every platform. So if you go to check it out on quietexplosions.com, you'll see all the different platforms. It's even playing in Zimbabwe. So we hope to help people all over the world.
Absolutely. Wow. So thank you for sharing that. And
I have to tell you, it's also interesting that 7 years ago I did a project about the homeless people in Santa Monica, and I learned that 50% of homeless people have mental illness or, have their mental health impaired, and many, many homeless people are veterans. So it's like it was all tied in. So I did another project about homeless people last year because I saw more hope and I saw people getting better, and now I just wrote a musical, and it's about mental health. And so I think everything's tied in that's happening in my life to help more people.
Yes, you're on the path for sure. Your special path. So, well, tell us about Step Up, because that's the 2 Emmys are from Step Up, and part of the presentation, Santa Monica Cares. So tell us, how that all came through you and how it evolved to where it is today.
Well, the Directors Guild of America that I've been in since 1998 came to me and asked me to do this project, which I did, and it was a short. And sometimes it's harder to make a short than a feature because you have to be very disciplined. Anyway, I did the movie about Leroy, and he had been homeless for 16 years and had turned his life around when Step Up gave him a place to live. They provide homes for homeless people. And 7 years ago, they were just in California, and now they're in Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, and in January opening in North Carolina. So I invited the man from Step Up, the vice president in Atlanta. He came to the screening in Kennesaw, so it was just fabulous, like a big circle in my life coming around, and he was there. And last year, I decided to do a follow-up on Leroy because I found out he was a mathematical genius and went back to college to become a professor in math. Yeah, so I found 2 other people who would also be in the film, Dewey, who was a medical doctor in Detroit, and when GM closed up, he lost his whole practice and his patients and kind of went off the deep end and started drinking and went out to California and became living in dumpsters, behind the bars. Anyway, he was homeless for a long time, and Step Up came to him and gave him a home, and now he's recovered and he's a counselor. So the story is about, rehabilitation, and that movie is going to be done soon. It's being edited right now. And then the third person in there, it's like a trio, is about Fuji, who was imprisoned for 25 years, and then by the grace of God got out somehow, and he started working at Step Up, and he became Dewey's counselor. So it's kind of interesting. And these are the characters. These are the actual characters that I based the musical on. So the homeless people in the musical are based on these real characters.
And you know what I'm thinking is with Dr. Mark Gordon's work, first of all, we know that many of the homeless people are veterans, but there's others, too, that may have the PTSD. Obviously, most people do have that at some level for trauma. I wonder if his hormone therapy could help them as well as, the work that Step Up is doing. There's all these connecting the dots to help people have full lives.
Yes, absolutely. And even with emotional trauma, you can get PTSD from grief, losing a loved one, or from, like Annie in our movie, from rape. So basically, yes, they can heal and get better, because don't forget, through COVID, a lot of people ended up with depression, anxiety, the isolation. They just really went off the deep end. And, these hormones are helping everyone. There's no doubt about it, which is why mental health is so, so important. And love. Listen, all the people in my audience in Atlanta, it's the family, it's the caretakers, it's the spouses and the brothers and sisters who, with love, they can help their person, whoever that is, whether it be a veteran or not. But I saw it with my own eyes. I see when I interviewed the families and the relatives, I saw what happened, and it's through love that we can heal.
Right. There should be a prescription for that, because that is the foundation of what we all yearn for on earth. We know it in the light. We know the love, but on earth we strive to get back to that, or we yearn to have it, and there's not a soul on this earth that does not yearn for love and touch and compassion and all those good things. So yeah, I think, I just think, there should be a a prescription for that. So now I'm thinking, let's move to the musical, because you've mentioned it a couple of times, and how that has, segued into the musical, which is quite exciting. And I know we touched upon it the last time you were on the show, but get into it and let it and go wherever you'd like to share, so people can know more and then look for it when it's completed.
Well, thank you. That's great. Yeah, so I have a writing partner who's a brilliant comedian, Ellen Gerstein, and she and I wrote this. She is so funny. She's going to play the lead of the psychiatrist, Where is Dr. Jeannie? And she was a very famous psychiatrist in Beverly Hills who treated all the stars and then went off the deep end through a trauma and ended up homeless. And she's now treating everybody in the homeless community in their tents and cartons. So it's really quite hilarious with her modalities that she uses to heal people. It's underlying funny, but there's some truth, of course, there. And now she's happy. She's happy treating these people, and she doesn't need the fame. She's just happy doing this. So we have 14 songs. They're parodies of very famous songs with new lyrics that I wrote. And there are 7 characters who play 16 different parts. So they keep changing parts. They might be a Beverly Hills client one day, and then they're homeless in another part. So it's pretty hilarious. So we're talking to producers right now, and we're on next steps, and it will eventually be up there and out in the world. And I think we've hit a chord, to give people some enjoyment, some humor, but some underlying truths.
Right. Well, that's kind of when we opened up the show, making a difference and putting quality work out there where there's the message and there's entertainment as well. So that's you are just you're just bubbling over with creativity.
Oh, thank you so much. I have to tell you, this thing just poured out of me, and everything I need for it is happening. The universe is bringing me what I need. So I feel like I just have to go with it. I just have to completely go with what happens with my life, because it's just something that is inside me, and it just needs to be shared with the whole world, with all of the people in this human race.
And I bet, since Alan has experienced firsthand, I bet he's totally, a cheerleader for you.
Oh, yeah, he's amazing. I mean, we've been married 53 years, and so he is like my best cheerleader, that's for sure.
Yes. Yes. And so as far as the musical, so it's all completed, and now you're marketing it to producers. Is that my understanding?
Yeah. It's completed, and now we're doing a reading, which is the next step, where you have actors act it out, and read it out loud for the producers and investors, and it will get its legs, and it will probably start regionally first. But a lot of people are interested already, which is very, very exciting.
And that's the key there, is once you have quality work and it's coming from a higher place and you're putting it all together and connecting the dots, people will feel it. They feel that energy, and they feel what you're doing, and they want to be part of it. It's so exciting, Jerri.
Right. And my hope is that a portion of, certain amount from each ticket, if someone purchases to see the musical, will go to Step Up so that we can enhance Step Up to become huge and more states and give more homes to more homeless people, and, just think what we could do for the world.
Yes, we need Step Up in Massachusetts.
Yes.
Yeah, especially where you originated from Fall River.
I know.
Yes.
I know. Anything can happen, Deborah. Anything can happen.
Anything and everything can happen when you're resonating in that energy. Yes. So, and it's all about feeding that energy, and we all have crazy days and crazy things that happen, but we can make a choice and put our energy and feed the goodness, feed our higher self. That's where the magic is. That's where the goodness is, not in the low energy feeding. Oh my gosh, this is going to happen now. This is going to, not to be in there. It's a choice for sure. And a choice that we all make individually, and it colors the kind of life that we have. So it's...
You're so right. You're so right. I mean, I don't let any negativity get in my brain at any moment or any time. I don't watch any news. I don't read any newspapers. In order to create and help the world, I have to keep positive at all times.
Yes, I can see that. Well, we need to take our next break. Giving the number out one more time. You would have to hurry up when we come back. 833-220-1200. Don't be shy. Jerri would love to hear from you. We'll be back in a moment. And again, JerriSher.com, JERRI, S as in Sam, HER.com.
Take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition Show, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Eastern. Our message is love in the purest form. The light within us all is a guide to recall our beginning, to learn to love self and humankind, and to feel the higher power of our own divinity. To attract love, one needs to be love. Come join us and step into this glorious vibration called love.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids children's book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love Song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
Are miracles real? Can you move from mayhem to miracles? 30 prominent authors say yes as they share their high fives and down lows of challenges, abuse, addiction, and love. Experience hope, the magic elixir of miracles, through the personal stories of New York Times bestselling authors James Redfield, Dr. Bernie Siegel, Sister Jenna, Reverend Temple Hayes, and many more. If you like bestsellers, chaos to clarity, and crappy to happy, you'll love crying and laughing through mayhem to miracles. Sacred stories of transformational hope. Available now on Amazon and in bookstores worldwide.
Looking for a fun and relaxing getaway? Omega Rest and Rejuvenation Retreats are a great way to unwind and renew your spirit. Sit and read in the garden, explore the woodland trails, or try a daily yoga or meditation class. You can stretch your body, quiet your mind, and do as much or as little as you choose. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org or call 800-944-1001.
It's a child's job to play, to learn, and to have fun. It's an adult's job to keep them safe. Did you know that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before the age of 18? Every day, families enter the Children's Advocacy Center because a child's courage to tell someone what happened to them. Keeping our children safe starts with a conversation. This is Michelle Aranger, Executive Director of the Children's Advocacy Center. Learn more on how to keep your child safe. Visit cacofbc.org. This message made possible by the Fall River Rotary Club.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And welcome back. I wanted to also mention Live Life series. We talked about that in the first show. Again, go on the Love by Intuition page on dreamvision7radio.com, and that will come up, and you can listen. These individual stories, and that's Dr. Emmett Miller, is actually in a few of them, and you can, they're quick stories, but soul-moving, and you can leave reviews there too. So check that out. It's Live Life series, and you can even just Google that or look for it on Amazon. Correct, Jerri?
Yes, Live Life. You can just Google Live Life Jerri Sher on Amazon, and it will come up. And each episode is about 25 minutes, and it's healing through alternative medicine. Awaken your inner power.
Right. And I'm a big believer of Big Pharma can still, be fine with alternative therapies. We can marry the two of them as far as what is needed. It doesn't all have to be in one basket with the billionaires. So moving from there, let us know, since you are done with that, you have completed the musical. Do you have something cooking up now?
Well, it's going to be a lot of work to get this up and running because we have to cast it, find the singers, find the actors, rehearse, and I'll direct that play. So I'll be involved with that for quite some time now. And I'm in the midst of editing the second Step Up movie about Leroy, Dewey, and Fuji, the little triad there, little trio. So that'll be another movie coming out. And that'll be a short. It'll probably be under 40 minutes, but it'll be, it'll be very poignant and very exciting. And they all kind of mix and go hand in hand, just like Live Life. When I originally met Dr. Miller and started Live Life, I didn't know that he was going to put me in touch with Dr. Amen, and Dr. Amen is one of the main doctors in Quiet Explosions. So it's sort of like everything coming around a circle.
Yes, and again, all these little tentacles are out there, and you're pulling them to complete that project like an octopus. So I want to leave it with, I want to just, what would you, we have probably, less than 10 minutes remaining, and I'd love to just leave it with you. What do you want to say to the listeners? What you want to share about what you're doing? Anything that's on your mind, I'd like people to hear.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, the big thing is I feel like you have to be positive in life, and everybody takes their cues from you, but what you give, you receive. And my big thing is to always give other people what they need and help them, and everything will come back to help me in the end, or they'll give back to me. So people have to be aware of their surroundings and who's around them and how to help other people, how to give back. That is the age-old theory of mine, and to be positive. I never have any negative energy coming into my world in any shape or form. I don't allow it. I only associate with people like myself or better, and that I learned from Tony Robbins. I was trained by Tony Robbins many, many years ago, and I think that's why I'm able to move mountains. Really, Deborah. I feel like I can just, do anything, and people think I'm, 30 years younger than what I am because I have the energy of a 30-year-old because I never have to sleep and I'm just creating all the time. And I think people have to take their gifts that they've been given and use them to help others. And that's kind of how I feel. That's been my philosophy.
Right. And I think many people don't ask themselves, just that simple question, what what makes my heart sing, what is my, whatever that may be is the purpose. And then you run with it and see where, if you put the energy there, then things are going to unfold. If you say, okay, well, I could never do that, then you're never going to do that.
Exactly.
It's kind of simple, and even loving yourself is simple. However, it can be a challenge and a task, and it's all what our mind tells us. So I'm hoping that more people will hear, what Dr. Mark Gordon is doing, and there may probably be others that are doing it, and we're not aware of them, but for me, I think that there's a lot that goes on with the hormones, and it's a big piece of the human body mechanism. And if that's not being addressed properly, and then even the kind of, I'm going over here now, Jerry, even, if synthetic versus the bioidentical, that makes a huge difference. I bet you got into some of that education.
Right. And I feel also that we have to go back to how we were as a child. We have to be whimsical and have humor and have laughter in our lives. I mean, I get so much from being with my 5 grandchildren because they keep me really young, and they inspire me so much. I mean, it's very important, to wear my grandmother hat or my wife hat or my family hat to my siblings, and decompartmentalize my brain so that I can give 150% when I'm doing that with them, playing Scrabble with them or playing Wordle with them. I think it's really important. I work like crazy, but then there's times that you have to have fun. You have to enjoy life. You have to smell the roses.
Yes. How has it changed your life to live this way compared to, I'm sure, maybe, in the younger years, maybe you weren't awakened. I know I wasn't. And maybe you were, and that would be phenomenal. But how has living your truth and living in this energy and creating and following the guidance that you have, how has it changed your relationships and your life in general?
Well, it didn't happen right when I was young. No, it did not. It happened later on, and it mostly happened after my husband was critical and had open heart surgery, and they told me he would be gone, he wouldn't make it, and send for my 2 children. They were in college at the time, and basically he wasn't going to live. So that changed my whole life because I was in my 40s and I was quite young, and basically when he did survive, and then, the next birthday or the next holiday or the next vacation, I had to keep him going. So my big thing in life was to make sure that my family would get him to the next happy occasion. And that's how I run my life ever since, which is 27 years ago. So basically, I always try to surprise my children, my grandchildren, my husband with something very special for any holiday, any occasion, any birthday, any anniversary. That's my goal. Make other people happy. Make other people fulfill their dreams. And that's all I concentrate on. And that's why everything comes to me.
Beautiful. And it is. It's a testament to what you did for him and your mindset, and now you're really channeling all that for others to realize they can do the same and change their lives, whether they're in need of treatment or whether they're fine and they just want a better way of living, because we can get so caught up in that day-to-day and all the minutiae and challenges, everything. So, yes, maybe you should bottle that up.
Well, we have to give people, my thing is, I just try to make sure that somebody has a little joy each day in their life, and that's the most important thing. And it could be the simplest thing, Deborah. It could be buy yourself a new lipstick, wear a new scarf, tie it in a bow, tiny little things, but give yourself a little bit of joy. And I really believe that's why Quiet Explosions is the only documentary left on Amazon. Every other one was taken down except for this one, because it's such an important movie, and it is Amazon's choice. And I have to say, I'm doing the right thing for others, so somehow God is giving it back to me.
I wonder why others have been taken down. That's curious. Yet what's phenomenal is that yours is staying there, and there's such a need for that, as you pointed out, because it's across the board. It's veterans, it's the NFL, it's kids, it's civilians of all types, shapes, and ages. And so I thank you for that. So we have come to the end, and I'm so glad that I had you back. Everyone, listen to the first show as well as this one. Let people know about it so they can pass it on, and let people know about Quiet Explosions, Healing the Brain. It has its own website, quietexplosions.com. You can Google it on Amazon. You can do all kinds of things, but take the time, because it's very interesting and it's solid information to let others know. And if you plant the seed with someone else, then they'll pass it on as well. So thank you so much. It's been an honor, Jerri, to have you both times.
Thank you. I'm so pleased, and I feel so fortunate that you had me on. Thank you. It's just wonderful to be with you, Deborah. You really inspire me.
Thank you. You inspire me, and we're going to follow you. We're going to follow you, all the things that are coming. And I want to see that play. I really want to see that play. So we'll stay in touch, because, again, it'll bring joy and laughter as well as a message that needs to be heard. So everyone listening, think about what we've been talking about and implement it in your own life and help others. It's all about the giving. If you want to receive, you've got to give, and you'll receive. Until the next time we come together, enjoy and love. Au revoir.
Are you seeking a clearer path to love? Then tune in to the Love by Intuition show next week. All designed to your highest good. To contact Deborah Beauvais, owner of Empowered Connections, call her at 508-226-1723. That's 508-226-1723. Or link on to lovebyintuition.com. Remember, we are all one, and we are all part of the miracle of love.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.